I said all good, bud. And you?
It's been all right. I mean, the cricket's been a bit wet. It's like not really been something I've been really enjoying because it could have been that you would have had two top teams going out because of the weather. I mean, in the case of the USA, I mean, I was okay with them going through because they played a lot better than Pakistan. I mean, Pakistan were dreadful. But I felt that in terms of growing the game more, in terms of ICC revenues, I think Pakistan, from that point of view, would have been good. And if you know Pakistan, I mean, had they been given a chance to finish their match, and then the Ireland versus USA match, I think would have been very interesting. I think it's actually today it's no today is Ireland versus Pakistan, which is a bit of a damn squid in my opinion, but I guess it has to be played out. Yeah, so yeah, man, what are your thoughts, man, on the cricket in general with the wet weather and all that?
I mean, okay, let's go to USA first. And no surprises that they are through because
Okay.
that Pakistan and India game. I mean,
Uh-huh.
Pakistan should have won that game.
Yeah, Michael Vaughan said the same thing.
Pakistan should have won that game. So from
Yeah,
that point, if Pakistan were not going to win that game,
yeah,
there was a very slim chance of them qualifying. And
yeah.
obviously, weather played its part. I mean, it's been bucketing down in Florida
Mm,
this last week, but I think USA deserve to be there, and I think it's actually a good thing for the game in a way because I
mm,
mean
yeah.
the World Cup is in the USA and West Indies, and obviously the
Mm,
ICC wants to grow the game,
mm,
and to see two host nations in the in the knockouts, that's amazing. That's really amazing,
mm,
and
mm.
I think if they're looking at it as mission accomplished, it probably is mission accomplished in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give credit to UV. Remember when he had called it, I was laughing my head off, and then yeah, and I felt really bad. But I'm eating humble pie, so it is what it is. I don't know if you were laughing the way I was, but I did find it very funny.
No, the thing is, what made me believe in the USA was that win against
Okay.
Pakistan. I mean, that
Mm,
win
mm,
actually changed the whole group
mm,
fortunes around, and from that point, you knew, I mean, you advantage USA because I mean they had 4 points after two games, and they had a perfect record. And
mm,
yeah, I mean the rain out and stuff, but I think they actually kind of deserve that luck to obviously
mm,
get through. But yeah, I mean it's
mm.
it's perfect, man. I mean, what a story! It's probably the story of the World Cup so far that USA are through.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Okay, and I know we were having a bit of debates on England on WhatsApp. It wasn't like I was kind of discrediting Scotland. It was just that I felt after what happened to Pakistan with the weather, I didn't want to see that happening now to England. I thought England should at least be given a chance to win their match to see what happens. But of course, England won by 40 plus runs, and then Australia were made to work a little bit hard by Scotland. So credit to them. At least Scotland, put in some effort there, made Australia graft a little there, but Australia were always were going to win that match.
I mean, Scotland they played really well in this World Cup. I mean, I think
Hmm.
really gutted to not get through in the end. But I mean, 5 points from 4 games. I mean, that's a great return. So as you said, I mean, last night was the first game that they actually lost in this competition, and I mean the way they lost, pushing the Aussies all the way. Uh, yeah, I think a lot was riding on that England and Namibia game. I mean, if it was a washout, Scotland would have went through, and
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, nobody would have disputed them not deserving their chance because they played some great cricket, and they did play some great cricket against England as well. Although that match was obviously, you know,
Right.
uh, yeah, rain affected, but I
Hmm.
think on the whole, Scotland can be proud of their tournament. Hey, they're really coming up in strides here. They're going to have a competitive team in a few years' time. Yeah, as they
I,
keep on playing,
yeah.
consistently, keep on playing
Hmm.
against good opposition. They're going
Hmm.
to get better.
Hmm.
But I mean, I was really impressed the way they performed against Australia last time. I mean, posting that kind of score was amazing to see. Yeah, but yeah, it is what it is. England are through. I mean, they've
Hmm.
had an up and down tournament. Let's be honest. I mean, the bowling hasn't been up to scratch in
Yeah.
certain games, except for the Oman
Yeah.
game, and obviously that's Oman at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
exciting
That
now for the
was.
Super Eights because they're in the Proteas group with the Windies. So yeah,
Oh,
that's going to be a really exciting group.
yeah, speaking of sorry, I should be laughing, but hey, that game. I felt sorry for the spectators. They were looking at that highlights. Imagine if you were there live, the spectators would have said, "I want my money back, man." That game was too quick. We had
Yeah,
this
but
47 all
I
out
guess
in the first year.
I guess you had a feeling it was coming. I guess you had a feeling it was coming.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because
Yeah.
England, you know what I've noticed with England? This, if you notice this World Cup with England, it's similar to the World Cup in Australia. The first match got, if I can remember, got rained out, if you remember, and then they lost to Ireland. And no, I'm lying. I apologize. The first match actually was against Ireland. They lost to Ireland. Then the Australian one was rained out, and they had to win the last two matches. And then the rest is history from there. Vish, you there? Hello. Oh, Avish, I can't hear you, man. I can't hear you. Oh, Avish, can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know if you heard what
Yeah,
I
so
last said.
yeah, no, I didn't hear what you were saying, but what I'm saying is obviously
Mhm.
this World Cup the format is different. So you've got Super Eights, and you don't have a straight
Mm-hmm.
shootout for the semi-final. So
Oh
that
yeah, that's
obviously
true.
makes it a little bit more complicated in the sense that you've got to be two
Mm-hmm.
good teams to actually get through to the semi-finals. So yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
England are going to have it a lot more challenging in the Super Eights now. But I mean
Of course.
that's to be said for all the teams. But let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
This could be really interesting, eh? This could be really interesting.
Yeah. Speaking
I
of
think this
that, oh, sorry, you first.
I think this is the business end of the competition now. What everybody were waiting for, and yeah, we finally here now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to go back to where I was now. Sorry about that. I think I got myself a bit in a puzzle there. Okay, let's go. Yeah, today is Ireland versus Pakistan, a damn squid. So I'm gonna go with. I think the favorite is going to be Pakistan, but I'm just going to say Ireland to win because I just don't really give a rat's anymore.
Um, I think Pakistan will win, but I mean it's been a disappointing tournament for them.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's a total reset for them, eh? In white ball cricket, I know there's big changes coming from a Pakistan point of view once this team actually gets home because there's been a few talented players that obviously missed out in this competition. They probably went for the tried and tested, and it didn't actually
Hmm.
work out. But yeah, I think it's a big rebuild for them. Pakistan cricket at the moment, not up to scratch with the best teams in the world. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they've been really inconsistent, hey, for a while now.
Yeah,
I mean, you saw it in the
yeah.
50 over World Cup as well, really inconsistent. So
Oh,
I think they're
yeah, but
probably building towards
hmm.
that
Hmm.
Champions Trophy next year in February. And I
Oh, yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
in other sports, you wait 4 years for a World Cup. Well, guess what?
Hmm.
You're getting an ICC tournament every year, so
Hmm.
there's always a chance to bounce back. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a total reset for them at the moment. So let's see how they go about it. But yeah, uh, I think they need to decide on a starting 11 and stick with that. And
Yeah.
probably that would give them a better opportunity because this chopping and changing of the side is troubling them a lot as well.
Yeah, okay, we'll quickly visit this one. Bangladesh and Nepal will look interesting, and I tell you why. If you look at this table here, Bangladesh are number 2 with 4 points. Nepal are on 2 points. So if Nepal, but the problem is even if Nepal win, they're gonna have to win by a bit of a margin to try and overthrow that. So I think Bangladesh are gonna pretty much go through in this group A. Look at this net run rate discrepancy here. Oh. Hey, bud.
Sorry about that connection issues.
That's okay. It's okay. Now, I was just mentioning that for Bangladesh versus Nepal, it's interesting because if you look at this table here, you can see that even if Nepal win, they'll have to win by quite a margin to qualify for the Super 8. I don't know if you concur with me on that one.
Yeah, I mean, heartbreak for Nepal in the last game, hey, against the SA. I mean, I didn't expect that game to be that close. I mean,
Oh
that was actually too
yeah.
close for comfort. Nepal's got a great bowling attack. I mean, I must be honest. I was very
Mm.
surprised the way that they bowled in on Friday in that match
Mm-hmm.
at Saint Vincent. I mean, they've got an awesome bowling attack. But
Mm.
I think with regards to their situation is good. They're probably out because they've got 1 point. So I think it's all for Bangladesh to play for at the moment. I mean, if they win this game, they through to the Super 8. So
Super.
I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
incentive for Bangladesh to win this game. And yeah, I
Mm.
expect them to get the job done against Nepal. I expect them to get the job against Nepal, get the job done against Nepal, and obviously they're the second team that's going to get through the group with SA, who've already qualified as well. So yeah, it's a lot it's a lot to lose for Bangladesh. Yeah, and yeah, I think they'll get the job done against Nepal, and then they'll go through with SA.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna share something. I'm not gonna go through with you the other matches because most of the matches are just pointless. Like if you look at West Indies, Afghanistan, it's pointless because these two teams are both through. Even New Zealand and Papua Guinea is pointless because these two are both out, and Netherlands, Sri Lanka are pointless. Because I'm just gonna go to the matches that I've actually noticed here. From the 18th of June, you have the. Sorry, I'm not lying to you. It's actually the 19th of June. You start with the Super 8. So this is more exciting. This is actually in North Sound, which is the West Indies, South Africa against USA. I predict South Africa to win that. I don't know if you concur with me on that one. Oh, hey, bud. That's okay.
Hey, Pop.
That's okay. I was just saying that I've noticed from the 19th onwards on Wednesday starts the Super 8. I was saying South Africa will play against USA, and I'm predicting SA to win that. And then you have on this one, West Indies and England will also be at Gross Islet. I'm going to say West Indies to win, eh? I don't know if you concur with me so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I fancy the Windies in that game against England. Hey, I mean, they've been really impressive, in this tournament so far with bat and ball. The way they've been taking wickets with their spinners. I mean, Hussein
Hmm.
and Gurkesh Moti have been superb. Yeah, the batting is clicking as well. So yeah, I think that's going to be a tough game for England, eh? And England obviously they've got issues with their bowling still. I mean, even though they threw, there is a bit of issues with their bowling. And then SA and USA, it's going to be a competitive game, hey? I mean, the USA deserve to be here, but I mean, if you had to ask the Proteas, I mean, who would they rather play? Would they rather play USA or Pakistan at this stage? They would
Of course, yeah.
probably say USA. They would probably say USA given SA's
Yeah.
record against Pakistan in T20
Mm.
tournaments. So, yeah,
That's true.
I mean, the bowling has been quite impressive. It's just the batting at the moment that needs some work. And hopefully they
Yeah.
can get it right, on this leg of the tour at the moment. But yeah, that's definitely a must-win game for SA if they want to get out of this Super 8 group and into the semi-finals. So
Avish, have
interesting
you
game,
noticed?
interesting game.
Yeah. Have you noticed something here? It's this one says SA and USA is Group Two, and then you have West Indies and England also Group Two. My God, that's a spicy group here. Then.
Yeah, it is a spicy group because I mean, given SA's situation, they probably got to beat USA and beat one of either England or the Windies to give themselves an opportunity.
Yeah.
I honestly think whoever loses 2 games is probably out of the running
Hmm.
for the semi-final.
Of course.
So you've got to
It
win
could.
2, and I think
Yeah.
possibly you can afford to lose 1. I would go. I would like to go with like a good, 100% record, because you can't really, you don't want it to come down to net run rate. And
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's the worst. That's the worst feeling to get out of to when you're talking about qualifying for a group. That's the worst feeling. I mean, I know
Hmm.
how Scotland are feeling now. Scotland are feeling really dejected just because of the net run
Yeah.
rate. So
Yeah. I have a
yeah,
feeling this
interesting.
group is, but I bet you this group's going to come to net run rate. I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as it seems. I think that's going to be a net run rate group. Look at this one, Group One: Afghanistan and India. India will win that definitely. They're playing in Bridgetown. Although Bridgetown is a bit of a western pitch. Now that'll suit India then, because India's got much better pacement than Afghanistan. Although I shouldn't say that. One of the Afghanistan bowlers, father is pretty good. So I think that's going to be an interesting match. But I think India should have enough class to win that.
Yeah, I don't think India have ever lost to Afghanistan in any kind of cricket, be it one
Hmm.
days, T20s, or tests.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
Um,
Afghanistan, they've been so impressive in this World Cup so far. I mean, they haven't
hmm.
haven't dropped a game. I mean, ruthless in all their games. So, uh,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, hey, because they are playing one of the favorites and one of the best teams in the world. So yeah, I'd probably go with India there, because I just think India have got a better pace attack, and that pace attack
Yeah.
might just trouble the Afghani batsmen. But I mean, if you're talking about
Hmm.
spinning, spin bowling, I would say Afghanistan are just as good as India when it comes to that department
Of
when
course.
it
Yeah.
comes into the spin bowling department. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a kind of a cakewalk. But I think India would probably get through
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be
I think
quite a close game.
Australia. I think Australia is going to play against Bangladesh, although it's not showing yet. It is TBA, to be announced, I would assume. I think Australia will play Bangladesh, and I'm going to go with this is the North Sound. I don't know what type of pitch North Sound produces, but if it's one of those dryish pitches, it may not be as straightforward as it seems, that one. But I would go for Australia to win, but they will have to work hard. Group one seems a lot more straightforward than I think with group two. I think India and Australia should go through that group. Or you could say maybe India and Afghanistan, but I think that's kind of asking a lot. So I think India and Australia will go through group one. I don't know if you agree with me on that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the challenge for Australia now, because they're going to play against three teams that have good spinning, good spinners in their team. I mean, Afghanistan is not
Hmm.
going to be an easy game for Australia.
Hmm. Of course, yeah.
India is most certainly not going to be an easy game, and then
Hmm.
Bangladesh as well. I mean, it all depends on the tracks. Then Australia have got to be
Hmm.
smart here in the sense of
Hmm.
how they approach these games, because I mean they've notoriously not done well, uh, in spin friendly conditions.
Hmm.
So yeah, you know what? I think there's opportunity for jeopardy in this group here. I mean, you don't want to write anything off. And
Okay.
Afghanistan, if they get to the semifinals, I mean, what a story that's going to be, eh? What a story that's going to be. And let's be honest, they've been threatening for a while now to get into the latter stages of tournaments. So
Hmm. Yeah.
this could be Afghanistan's best opportunity, Sid. If Australia and
Hmm.
really watch, they've got to be very very careful here, because I think
Of
that
course.
India game is going to be a tough one.
Of course, yeah.
Then they've got, I think they've got two potential banana skins in Bangladesh and Afghanistan that they've got to negotiate. So
But
it's
can you say,
going to be
yeah.
interesting.
But can you say Afghanistan has now become a banana skin now? Because in T20, they're becoming more of an established team. Maybe 50 overs, you could say they're banana skin. And in fact, Australia should have technically lost to them, Afghanistan in 50 overs, but then some brain trade fielding happening, and then you know what happened, yeah?
Look, the stats don't lie. They're probably one of the top 8 teams in the world at the moment in T20
Hmm.
cricket, and
Yeah.
rightly so. I mean, they've qualified for the Super Eights, so you've got to count
Hmm.
them as one of the top 8 teams in the world. And
Hmm.
yeah, when I look at their cricket, I think they've obviously probably grown, ahead of the likes of Sri Lanka, the likes of Pakistan, former
Hmm.
tournament
Hmm.
winners. This
Hmm.
is Afghanistan 2024. I mean, reload. This
Hmm.
this is a great team. This is a great
Hmm.
team to watch. And
Hmm.
the way they've been in this tournament so far, they've been ruthless, especially in
Hmm.
the bowling department. If you look at Faruqi, Rashid, they've been superb in that department, and I think they've got enough in their batting to be competitive as well. So I
Hmm.
wouldn't I wouldn't write them off. I would not write them off in the Super 8 stage. Eh? I really think there is room for jeopardy in this group. There
So you
is room for
say
jeopardy
it
in this
could
group.
be. So you're saying it could be India and Afghanistan to go through Group 2, Group 1. I
I would
mean.
say I would say if Australia slip up, then it probably would be India and Afghanistan. I would say, yeah. I think
Yeah, I know
Bangladesh
UV.
with regards.
Yeah.
I think with regards to Bangladesh, I think their Bangladesh
Yeah.
batting is a bit weak.
Okay.
Uh, they've got good bowlers, but I think their batting obviously lets them down a lot. So I think that's the
Of
one thing that's
course.
going to count against them. But yeah, I mean, you
I mean,
can't discount Afghanistan. You really can't discount
of course.
Afghanistan. Although you have India and Australia there that are,
Yeah.
experienced teams. I mean,
Hmm.
uh, former champions. But I mean,
Hmm.
these conditions are going to suit Afghanistan, and we've seen it so far. I mean,
Yeah.
they've been like a fish in water in the
Hmm.
Caribbean. I mean, they've like really
Hmm.
taken to this tournament. So yeah, that's the one team that can cause jeopardy in this group. Definitely Afghanistan.
What kind of pitch is Kingstown though? Australia's playing Afghanistan and Kingstown. Is that a Western pitch or an Eastern pitch?
Oh, now that is the wicket that South Africa played Nepal in, and that is a really
Oh
slow
boy.
wicket. Oh
Oh, that's
boy,
gonna suit
that's going to be some
Afghanistan.
game. That's going to be some game.
That's gonna
Yeah,
suit
that's going to be
Afghanistan.
some game. That is definitely going
Yeah,
to be
man.
some game, Sid. Some game to
Look
watch
out for
because I mean,
uh,
you saw what Nepal did to SA the other day.
don't
So I mean,
remind me, man.
Australia cannot take that for granted. But
I don't think they will.
yeah, I mean, I mean, if you were to ask me, like,
Mhm, mhm,
realistically, who would go through?
mhm,
I
mhm.
think just probably based on experience and stuff, probably India and Australia to go through from the Super
Of
Eights.
course.
But I am
Yeah.
not ruling out. I'm not ruling
Of
out an
course.
Afghanistan upset at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually trying to. I remember UV was. I don't. UV was saying that he expected Afghanistan to be one of the teams to win the tournament. Remember when we chatted with him last, and I was kind of finding it funny, but I think he might have. He might be onto something there. Hello. Oh. Okay. Hey, bud. I was just thinking, bud, before you keep getting disconnected, we'll probably try and wrap this up quickly. I was just saying quickly that Yuvi was making a prediction that Afghanistan was going to win the tournament last week because of how well they were playing. So he might be onto something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm, I'm not sure about winning the tournaments of India, West Indies, Australia.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put South Africa into that
Mm.
mix at the moment. Yeah, probably sides that you would
Of course,
fancy.
yeah.
England. Um,
Mm.
when you're talking about a semi-final post spot, I mean, I wouldn't discount them from that set. From that point of view, I
Of
wouldn't
course.
discount them from making a semi-final. So
Yeah.
it's going to be really, really interesting because I think they're the one team that can cause jeopardy in Group A. And then obviously Group B is a very interesting group because you've got three top teams there in SA, West Indies, and England,
Mm.
and then you've got the one outsider in the USA.
Mm. Mm.
Look, I'm not sure. I'm not sure these kind of pitches are going to be suiting the USA. These
Yeah.
spin-friendly tracks, because I mean, I don't know how they are against top quality spin. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for them, playing the likes of Rashid and Shamsi, and then obviously with the Windies, you've got Akil Hussain, you've got Moti. That's going to be the challenge for uh, the USA because I think when it comes to fast bowling, they probably got quite a good players when it comes to fast bowling. So
Mm.
that's going to be a bit
Mm.
of a challenge for them. But I mean, look, the Windies home ground advantage. They
Mm.
looking good. I mean, England they've got a few issues with their bowling.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, my money is on SA and West Indies to come out of this
Yeah.
group.
I was gonna say the
SA
same
and West
thing.
Indies, yeah, SA and West
Yeah.
Indies,
But
yeah.
you never know what it either could be SA England or dare I say West Indies England, but I don't want to say England going through the semi. So let's say SA West Indies.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I don't think any team has been perfect in this competition so far. Let's be honest.
Hmm.
There's
Of
been teams
course.
that have challenges with their batting, their bowling.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
mean, the resilience SA is showing in this tournament
Of
is,
course.
cannot be understated. They've really been
Definitely.
fighting hard,
Of course.
so that could hold them in good stead in going into
Definitely.
the knockouts. So
Of course.
that is why I fancy SA ahead of England, because I think England have got some issues with their bowling. So
Hmm.
I don't know if you
Hmm.
agree with me, but I think SA's bowling has been a lot more assured
Hmm.
in terms of and I mean obviously the captaincy from Markram has been amazing. Let's give him credit there. I know he
Yeah.
hasn't had the easiest of tournament with the bat, but his
Hmm.
captaincy has been amazing. So that's why I give SA the edge when it comes to England in that bowling department. Obviously, the Windies at home, they're going to be difficult. They're going to be difficult either way because they know these conditions
Yeah.
inside out. So
But I think SA should have fun with the bat here because in the West Indies the pitches will be a lot more bearable. I mean, in those pitches in New York were like in America were crazy. So I think in the West Indies they at least if they can make 180 with that bowling attack South Africa have, they should be able to beat England with that bowling attack there. If they can get to
yeah,
180.
yeah. I mean, we can only hope the likes of De Kock and Markram that have been missing out in the in New York, obviously cash in here as well because I
Hmm.
think they do some runs.
Hmm.
Miller has had a great tournament so far.
Hmm.
He's been really impressive for me.
Hmm.
And then obviously Klaassen can turn it on as well. I mean, to be honest with you, when I think about Miller and Klaassen, I don't think those guys that really like need any kind of form because I think they see ball and hit ball. They're very natural ball strikers. So when
Hmm.
you've got those natural ball strikes, I don't think form is such a big thing. But guys like Riza that obviously are very technical players and
Hmm.
kind of touch players, even Markram as well, they kind of need some form, to
Hmm.
feel confident at the crease. But I'm not too I'm not too worried about that because I think the pitches might suit them. The one thing that's really giving me hope is his bowling attack. This
Hmm.
bowling attack has been superb in the
Hmm.
tournament so far. So I mean, may it long continue.
Okay, before we wrap off, I know I was very annoyed with all the rain, so I was coming up with some ideas how they could improve on this rain situation. They should have a reserve week. Instead of reserve day, they should have a week whereby it's just dedicated to matches that get rained off. And the way they could, but then players might complain, like the tournament might be longer, but there's a way around it. You have more double headers so that you can make room for the reserve week. So, for example, if you have out of all the matches that get played, 5 to 10 matches being rained off, which I don't think you'll have 10, but maybe let's say five, you could easily fit it into that reserve week. Either you have one match per day, or you could have two double headers inside one venue. And you have the venues such that whichever venue hasn't been used, you can use those venues for the reserve matches. But you choose the venue that you know that won't give you an issue with weather-wise. I don't know if you concur with that.
Well, I most certainly hope there is reserve days for the Super 8 games because there's a lot riding on these games here, Sid. I mean, but I mean, in general, I agree with your opinion. I think any game in a World Cup has a lot of significance, and
Hmm.
these no results actually hurt teams that want to
Hmm.
perform and go, just give it their all.
Hmm.
So I am not for no results in World Cups. I would prefer to have a reserve day. I mean, even if you come back the next day and play out that 40 overs, it's really, really important to have a full game,
Yeah.
especially in World Cups, because I mean, there's so much riding on these games. I mean, the
Yeah.
the the destiny of these teams are riding on these 2 points. So I think
Yeah.
it's really important. And I think the ICC needs to be a bit more innovative with this because we've seen it in the last World Cup, T20 World Cup, where there was some rain. Things didn't work out there, and again we're seeing it again. I hope the ICC is looking into these things because these are hurting some teams, in terms of qualification.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I really hope they do because in a World Cup you really can't have a match that's abandoned. So I just feel it's not right. Hey, it's
That's
a
why
World
I'm
Cup at the end of
saying
the day.
that's what I'm saying. They should have a reserve week, not a reserve day. It's reserve week. So you have one week where you have a stage where all the matches try and get done, and whichever matches couldn't get done because of rain. But I know there might be a flaw to it because if all the matches don't get rained out, then what happens to that reserve week? But I'm sure this is where I feel there should be flexibility. It shouldn't be so rigid the schedule that it should be opened up that reserve week. If but then I don't know. I just think
Look,
reserve week. Pardon?
I think reserve week is a bit tricky because I mean you never know what can happen with regards to weather at those times. I probably think the next day is the best time. I mean, if it stops raining and we have good weather the next day, just start the
Hmm.
match again, restart the match,
But I guess
or I
yeah.
mean,
Hmm.
yeah,
But the problem is in America, the distance between flights so bad, 5 hours. I guess if you did it in South Africa, where the hours of flights are not so bad, you could do it that way. But you know what I'm saying. In the West Indies, I don't know what the distance between each part of it is, but yeah, 5 hours from New York to, like, I know from New York to probably Texas would be 5 hours, or maybe 3 hours, or whatever amount of hours. But my point is that it's quite long.
yeah. I mean, the U.S. is a big country. I mean, there's a lot of states in the
Yeah,
U.S. So
yeah.
yeah, traveling is a bit of an issue. Like you said, I mean, 5 hours. I think amongst the Caribbean islands, it's probably around 2 hours. I would say 2 hours, 2.5 hours around those islands because I mean those islands are all scattered, around
Hmm.
the Central American region. So yeah, but I do feel that you've gotta have a reserve day at least. So
But
because
then, but then,
there's so much of
yeah.
jeopardy in these
Hmm.
games. Yeah.
Unless the way you're doing, if you're gonna have a reserve days for a World Cup, you're gonna have to have a 4 day break between each of the matches, which might end up making the tournament go pretty. Well, actually, not really long. You could still have double headers within that whole schedule. It just means that whichever matches, you could just have 4 days break in within those double headers. So that way, you could try and have reserve days. So you kind of give it like two strikes for that match. So, for example, if Monday doesn't work, you have Tuesday. Then you have to start flying on Wednesday. Then, unless what you can do the match very much early in the morning for the Wednesday game, if that makes sense to you. Then it could
Yeah.
work. Yeah, you could do something like that.
I mean, this is a great point you make because I think there should have been a couple of double headers on that New York pitch, especially because there were quite a few games that were played. We had about 3 or 4 games in the week played in New York, and
Mm.
obviously, I think probably the Ireland and let's just say, for instance, Ireland and USA could have been played in New York instead of Florida because
Mm.
uh, there was a lot of rain in Florida, and even with India and Canada and was that could have been played in New York as well.
Yeah.
So I understand what they mean. I mean, they wanted to give all the host, the venues an
Mm.
opportunity, but look at how it's worked out. I mean, it hasn't worked out good for other
Yeah.
teams.
Florida has been hopeless. Hardly any matches I think in Florida.
Yeah, very disappointing. Very disappointing. I mean, for spectators as well.
Shame. Yeah. I
Just not
think
what you expect, eh?
it makes it important to have indoor cricket stadiums. I know Australia started that trend. I think they played against South Africa for indoor cricket matches. Remember in Melbourne, and that was quite nice. Sean Pollock was captain. Good times. I think that series ended at 1-1, but the third match being a tie. I don't know if you remember that series.
Kind of, but I think there's one stadium in Australia that has an indoor.
Melbourne. I think it's Melbourne.
I think it's the Docklands. The Docklands in Melbourne, probably. Yeah, I
I
think
remember
that's the
that.
only stadium. So Australia are also in that situation where they don't have stadiums where a lot of stadiums where there is roofing. So yeah, I mean you've got to look into. I mean, the one thing with roofing, it's really expensive as well.
Of
Let's be
course, of
honest,
course. Yeah, yeah. I
really
agree with that.
expensive. So
Yeah, I know that because of
yeah,
tennis. Yeah, tennis has indoor stadiums. I can think Australia's got it. Wimbledon has it, USA happened, even French Open has it now. But before, I think USA, I think Australian Open started that trend. But anyway, let's not deviate from the topic. I think any final words before we wrap off?
yeah. Well, I mean, as we said, I think Bangladesh is probably going to get that last spot
Hmm.
and make it
Hmm.
to Group A. And I think with Bangladesh being there, it's going to be a very interesting. Uh, I mean, Netherlands. I mean, I really thought they probably had an opportunity because the way they perform in tournaments, especially against Bangladesh in recent tournaments, they've been really impressive. But I think their opportunity is probably gone now, and I think Bangladesh are going to make it to the Super Eights. And yeah, Group A, and yeah, we've got some riveting cricket ahead of us this week, hey, in the knockouts. So enjoy.
Okay. I actually hold on a second. I wish I just saw something. The Netherlands actually have one match, but even then they're quite well behind. Yeah, they can't really. Even if they beat Bangladesh, they have to win by a massive margin. So okay, I'm getting out of this table now. Yeah, it's wishful thinking, actually.
Yeah, I think they've got to win by 53 runs or something around that figure. They've got to beat Sri Lanka, which is a bit of a tall order. I mean, even though Sri Lanka are playing so badly, I don't think they'd probably lose by 53 runs to the Netherlands. So that's a bit far-fetched.
Okay, bud. Check you soon.